Question for Tony Boucher.
Governor Malloy has been pushing for universal pre-K. Is this an initiative that you also support?
Well, as I said before, the very reason I started down the public service path was for my passion for education, because it was so important in our family. And preschool education is critical. We learn mostly everything by the age 5. 80% of our brain is hardwired by that time. I wish I had known that when I was raising my children as well. So it's really critical to have early childhood education as soon as possible. The proposals on the table, though, don't require for all students to enter the 4th grade through a public school system. It provides preschool slots for disadvantaged children, something that I supported early in my legislative career. It is a key and important component, especially if we're going to close the achievement gap for young children in the inner city, where many parents don't have the financial wherewithal to be able to do that. And if they start school without that background, they oftentimes can be 2 or 3 grade levels behind their peers. So that is a good investment. It's one of the reasons that I regularly receive a Children's Champion Award by the Children's Alliance in Connecticut, because it's something that we all work together, quite frankly, in a most bipartisan way. It's one of the few areas that we can do that. And I will continue to advocate for preschool education for our disadvantaged kids, but I also don't believe that they should be forcing this on different school systems and parents that find that they have an alternative that they prefer.
Mayor Bowden?
The question was related to universal pre-K. Yes, I support universal pre-K with a couple of caveats. One, if this is another unfunded mandate that's pushed down on the cities and towns, then we're going to have a discussion about that. 2, universal pre-K has to be directed to outcomes. We can't become a babysitting service, if you will, for parents who basically take them off the hook because they don't want to raise their children. But if universal pre-K is tied to good outcomes, and I believe it's tied to good academic outcomes, then we ought to invest in that. But it'll all be about who picks up the bill at the end of the day. In Danbury, we've been successful at offering more universal pre-K opportunities for our residents by utilizing the school readiness program, by building one of the few cities in Connecticut that's built its own Head Start building, because we understand the value of that early learning that goes on both for kindergarten as well as elementary school.
Joe Visconti?
I have 3 kids and they went to nursery school. I didn't have the opportunity in the 50s to go to a nursery school or kindergarten. They didn't have it out in Tallinn, where we kind of moved when I was about a year old. Things have changed, inner city problems. Anything that's unfunded, forget about it. This is, again, a ploy to make us look like we're bad Republicans if we say we're not for pre-K. Enough of the cradle to grave, we cannot afford it. Now, there are people in certain instances that may need it. I'm sure there's help for them and a variety of programs that are out there. But for the governor to do this, it's an election year grab for him to try to win over the teachers. The education cartel is at work here again. This is what I talked about earlier, which is fed bureaucrats, teachers, union bosses. They want to take our children as young as possible. If you can't, if for the most part, most people aren't going to really game the system. They want their kids in pre-K for a reason, but at the same time, we can, like Mayor Mark said, become babysitting services, and we can't afford it. Absolutely not.
Look, ultimately, it's a parent's choice and a parent's responsibility as to what they want to do with their child's education. That's why, for 15 years in the state Senate, I've fought to protect the rights of parents to homeschool their children. Now, I have 3 kids. We made the choice to send our kids to preschool. They went to a good preschool in the back of a church. If we're talking about providing access and slots for people who want the choice of preschool and for people in certain areas where there is no preschool slots, then I'm all for it, and I would support funding that so it's not an unfunded mandate on our town and cities. That's what the governor seems to be talking about. If we're talking about creating a whole new public education system of preschool where there are mandates on towns and cities where you can't send your child to a school in the back of a church, then I'm against it. It's a parent's choice and responsibility. There are some parents who want to send their kids to preschool who don't have that option, either because the slots don't exist or they need help financially, and I'm okay with trying to help them.
Now move to